Welcome to Headlines and History, live news reactions and your views. We're about to go live soon, so grab your spot and get ready for a sharp, balanced take on today's biggest news stories with a dash of historical insight. Stay tuned. Each week, we tackle the headlines that matter: politics, economics, global events with a balanced lens. We'll react live, tie today's stories to historical moments, and spotlight your views in the chat. From trade talks echoing the 1990s to crises recalling 2008, we're here to unpack it all. Your voice drives the show. Share your thoughts or historical parallels in the live chat, and we'll dive into the best ones. It's news, context, and community all in 1 hour. We're moments away from launching Headlines and History. Stick around for live reactions, historical nuggets, and your chance to chime in. Hit the notification bell, prep your comments, and let's make sense of the news together. See you soon.
Oh, all right, guys, welcome back to today's live stream. Today we're going to be looking at the aftermath of Zoran's win. Yesterday, he was returned as the winner of the mayoral race, and I would like to know your thoughts. So there's a question on the screen, and I would love to know your thoughts in the chat and in the comment section if you're watching after the fact. So what do you think? Zoran MAMDANI just won the New York mayoral race, the city's first openly socialist mayor in decades. Do you think his win will help or hurt New York? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section or in the chat, preferably in the chat. So I'm going to open up with this video. So this is a video that I watched a few months back when MAMDANI's campaign was still young, and I was shocked that he was coming out with these openly socialist ideas. Let's play this video. I'm going to just take this poll off the screen. Let me take this. Okay. Keep your responses coming. I'm going to play this. And then, so Zoran has been very open about his plans for a city-run grocery store. This experiment has failed everywhere it's been tried. It was tried in Kansas City, and this is what happened when that was tried.
It's clear this Sunfresh at 31st and Prospect is struggling. This is the first section people see when they come in. There's barely any produce. A lot of the coolers and shelves around the store look the same way, empty. So shoppers have been asking us, if the store isn't closing, then where's all the food? A rotten smell comes through the door, and anywhere you turn, you'll see products that need to be restocked. No hot food or deli.
I watch people walk in and walk out.
The grocery store has received financial assistance from the city, but has been unable to keep those shelves stocked in an area that in the past has often been referred to as a food desert.
Around here, a good thing don't last too long.
And it will impact a lot of people and a lot of families.
The city owns the Linwood Shopping Center. A nonprofit operates the grocery store. It's clear this Sunfresh.
Now, the first thing that I would like to open up with is that some people will say it's unfair to judge a policy before it's been carried out in the city or in the state where it's being proposed. But an experiment works because you try it out somewhere else in the safety of a closed environment. If it works, then you can apply it to a more general environment. If it fails, you usually decide that it's not working, let's not talk about it again. But these are socialist or communist ideas that have been tried again and again, and every time they've been tried, they failed. Now let's listen to the reactions. I promised that we would go into reactions. So we're going to watch the reactions from mainstream media.
Fresh at 31st and
sorry.
Prospect is
We're going to watch the reactions from mainstream media. And then, okay, good. And then we will just kind of talk about. I'm seeing the comments. I'm gonna get to the comments. I just want to go through some of these videos and then we'll just break it down. Okay. All right. So here's CNN.
Can I?
Here's CNN just after MAMDANI's victory speech. And maybe we'll get to listen to MAMDANI's victory speech ourselves.
I had one thing, by the way, as the politics, and you've done this, so I'd love your opinion. I'd love to give it. This guy did not sound like a mayor. He put every old guard national Democrat on notice. This man sounded like a national candidate. Half the speech was talking to Donald Trump.
Listen, I agree with everything that Van said about that speech. I was disappointed by it because this was his big introduction to the city as the new mayor, and I think he could have, if he had approached it the way he did so much of his communications. This was a shouted speech, not a talk with the city on the night of his election, ushering in a new era. But let me say that, and I was happy to hear him with a full-throated denunciation of anti-Semitism. I was happy to hear him talk about working side by side with the police to reduce crime and violence. But the one thing that I will say that I'm happy about is to hear Scott Jennings talk about how he is repulsed by divisive speech. and I think that everyone should note this, and I think you should carry it forward and use that index to judge all of our leaders.
I'm repulsed by socialist speech, is what I am repulsed by.
So you can be as divisive as you want.
But you gotta admit, by spending the back half of the speech screaming into the camera at Donald Trump, that is the mark of someone who has national ambitions.
I think you're trying to be.
Well, so let's look at the chat, and we're gonna just cover this one by one. All right. Now, don't be shy. Let me know what you think in the chat. Canary King, greetings. Thanks for joining yet again. You always make it in, and I appreciate your contribution to the chat as always. So Canary King says, as a New Yorker, I think it's great for 3 reasons. So I'm waiting for the 3 reasons. Is the first reason New Yorkers have spoken, we want him. Now, let me know your 3 reasons. Now, this is the democratic process. People have voted and they've said that this is the person they want, and that's fine. That's fine. He has a great smile. And you see, people have said that the modern day democracy would not have given the United States Abraham Lincoln, because Abraham Lincoln wasn't good looking and he wasn't a soft talker. He was brash. He was very abrasive to a lot of people's sensibilities. He said what he thought, and he wasn't very nice about it some of the times. He did that. So modern day politics would not have given you an Abraham Lincoln. You have a MAMDANI who is handsome, he's charismatic, he smiles, he speaks well, he's been well taught. For a brief stint, he was a musician, he was a rapper. So that means that he has the ability to speak on the fly, which is great for a politician. But it's not about the personality, it's about the policies. So if New Yorkers say they want him, why do they say they want him? Why destroy? Okay, so hang on. Why destroy the current system? Because it is grossly unfair. Okay, so you want to destroy the current system because it is unfair. All right, in the last 25 years, okay, so guys, I'm reading from the chat. I want to apologize because we don't have the ability to show the messages on screen like we did before, because the last couple of live streams kept having problems. So we're trying to figure that out. Until we do, we're going to go back to our original platform so that we can so that we can just kind of focus on the conversation. In the last 25 years, New York has been taken over by the ultra-rich. No, the ultra-rich have always been in charge of New York. It's always been the case. You've had the Rockefellers, you've had the Vanderbilts. They've always been in charge of New York. It's just become more commonplace to decry the ultra-rich in modern times. That's my opinion. New York has always been ruled by the elites. Always. So trying to say that, I think what people are feeling today is the fact that it is more mainstream to call out the ultra wealthy. It is more mainstream for people whose salaries are paid by the ultra wealthy to speak against the ultra wealthy. That's my opinion. You can let me know what you think in the chat, but that's my opinion. All right. So MAMDANI's now here's the problem. A lot of us here's the problem. A lot of us said that that you could possibly have with someone like MAMDANI. You have someone whose job right now is to fix the city. His job is to focus on helping the average New Yorker, not pick fights. And that's me being a lay person, and you could call me naive. But if you've won the election, it's time to roll up your sleeves and get to work. Campaign rhetoric should be in the past. If you're trying to get people who are angry at Donald Trump to vote you in, fine, you got your vote. It's time to just take the win, talk to your crowd and say, we won, let's get to work. And MAMDANI goes out there and he begins to talk as if he's angry at everyone. Well, let's listen to Van Jones, because Van Jones gives a response, because Van Jones, he supports Democrat candidates, and he's like, okay, before the results were called and the speech was played out, he said, look, this guy is going to come and give us a unifying speech because he's a unifier. He reminds them of Barack Obama winning against all odds. And then he comes out and gives the scathing speech that he gives. And here's Van Jones's response to that speech.
Zohran Mamdani, next mayor of New York City. And John, would you make it well, look, I've got divided reactions from my friends to this speech. First of all, you got to give the guy the credit. He defeated Democratic Party royalty. The Cuomo, that's a royal family in our party, defeated them. Defeated the oligarchs and rich folks who jumped in to try to stop him, and then defeated Donald Trump. So the triumphalism that you see there is earned. A year ago, nobody ever heard of the guy. And the younger people who I'm hearing from feel a great deal of relief and pride, and they're fired up, and they feel they've been silenced for too long. So that speech appealed to some. But I think he missed an opportunity. I think the MAMDANI that we saw on the campaign trail, who was a lot more calm, who was a lot warmer, who was a lot more embracing, was not present in that speech. And I think that MAMDANI is the one you need to hear from tonight. There are a lot of people trying to figure out, can I get on this train with him or not? Is he going to include me? Is he going to be more of a class warrior even in office? I think he missed a chance tonight to open up and bring more people into the tent. I think his tone was sharp. I think he was using the microphone in a way that he was almost yelling. And that's not the MAMDANI that we've seen on TikTok and the great interviews and stuff like that. So I felt like there's a little bit of a character switch here, where the warm, open, embracing guy that's close to working people was not on stage tonight, and there was some other voice on stage. That said, he's very young, and he just pulled off something that's very, very difficult. And I wouldn't write him off, but I think he missed an opportunity to open himself up tonight, and I think that will probably cost him going forward.
Look, we can Monday morning quarterback all we want. MAMDANI won. And I did say that the chances that he was going to win was very high. He's going to win. Everyone tapped him to win. Cuomo messed up as the governor. People were angry at him. Even people who voted him had to basically say that they were picking the lesser of two evils. And he lost. Now, I'm going to say something that I've said before. Time is our friend. We're going to all sit back together and we're going to watch what plays out. We're going to see if MAMDANI is able to carry out the promises that he made on the campaign trail. We're all going to talk about it and we're all going to see the results of those policies if they eventually play out. We're going to watch his career and we're all going to make a decision whether he was the right choice or the wrong choice. And you know what? It's been my opinion after over 25 to 30 years of watching politics in my lifetime, both in Africa and even in North America and Europe. Politicians have always been disappointing. Most of them promise a bunch of things that they don't fulfill when they get into office. So let's see what MAMDANI does with this opportunity. Many of us have been saying that young people deserve a chance to lead our communities and countries. And now we have a young person. So let's see what he does with it. Okay, back into the chat. Now, please let me know your thoughts in the chat. A lot of people are not very excited about this topic because it's like MAMDANI. It is because this is New York City. This is the financial capital of the world. It matters because we're going to see how New York fares. And then we will see what happens as a ripple effect to the rest of the United States. And then eventually the world. What will he do? Okay, so back to the chat. The 1% is bullying the 99%. Still, Canary King is pointing out his observations about the situation. Now, has there been an unfair, has there been an unfair environment where the ultra-rich in New York have been making the city barely livable for the poor? Canary King is a New Yorker, and he is basically saying the sentiment on the street is that people wanted him. And you know what? It's fair. It's the democratic process. I can't sit here on my live stream and tell you guys in New York what to do. I can't. It would be stupid for me to even try. I don't live in New York. I don't know what it's like in New York. So if the New Yorkers believe that this was the right direction to go in, then that's okay. This will reset to factory settings. Okay, so Canary King, what does factory settings look like? Does it look like the very early days of New York? But you know what? Let's tell ourselves the truth. Even in the very early days of New York, the wealthy still called the shots. It's always been the case. So even if we try to cast our minds back to a perceived time when things were simpler or better, there's always going to be that thing where the ultra rich have always ruled over the poor or the less rich. It's been that way throughout human history. The way to unseat them usually is by revolution. And the concern that I have is that people who push for revolution tend to rush to the front to say, we need a change. We need a change. Something new should happen. And then when that something new happens, it turns out that the people who wanted something new to happen don't know how to operate the something new. And so it becomes this massive experiment that tends to fail over and over and over again. The one experiment that has appeared to succeed so far has been the current American experiment, but it is faulty. It is not perfect. It is not perfect. You still have billionaires who kind of use their resources to pull strings and make certain things happen to their favor, but not to the favor of the regular guy. So we need to call that out, but there's always a question about whether this will work. It's always the concern. All right. Please pick a fight with the ultra rich. I really want to have a very nuanced conversation around what that fight looks like. What does it look like? So we have the ultra rich. The ultra rich are then being told, all right, so we're going to tax you in order to provide affordable grocery stores. We saw how that turned out in Kansas City. We want to provide free transportation. How does that work exactly? We want to provide rent-controlled housing. Rent in New York is insane. I agree that something has to be done about that. But what does that look like on the back end when everything is all said and done? Okay. Kanayokin again says he's angry and he speaks for New York. Okay. All right. So we are so happy in New York. This is a class warrior. By the way, upper middle class, but I know the trend isn't good. I think people who have a brain and two eyes understand that that what has been going on where the poor struggle and the ultra wealthy call the shots is a problem. Okay. Now there are a lot of people, I don't know where 50 Cent lives. If you saw the thumbnail that I used for this live stream, it has a tombstone. And 50 Cent published that photo claiming that that New York was essentially gone or dead, according to 50. I'm trying to find that image, but I think I may have lost it. I may have lost it. So 50 Cent posted that photo, in essence, claiming that New York died last night. Does 50 Cent live in New York? All right, I need to know, does 50 Cent live in New York? Because we're in a position right now where there are a bunch of people everywhere else in the United States and possibly everywhere else in the world who are saying, this is wrong, this shouldn't be happening. The United States shouldn't have a socialist running for office in the financial capital of the world. But you have a New Yorker in the chat saying we're happy with what was voted in. And so my question really, and the thing that I really want to discuss today is, what exactly are the issues that the middle class and the poor have with the rich? Because if you simply say that the rich are the reason why things are going wrong in New York, let me know what your reasons are. 50 is no longer in New York. Yeah, okay, so he moved out, and yet he has very strong opinions about the elections, and I wonder why. So as a former New Yorker, he believes that MAMDANI is a bad idea or is bad for New York. All right, so there are a few reactions. There are a few reactions online, and to be honest, Twitter is more like a mixed bag. There are a few people who are like super happy about this victory, and there are a few others that are trying to do what people who hated the fact that President Trump won the elections in November. There were people who crashed out. They had a meltdown. They posted all kinds of videos that were very unhinged, and I don't like those kinds of reactions. I want facts. What exactly? I've told you what the problems certain people have pointed out. Could come up with New York City are. I've mentioned my own concerns about socialist policies. I haven't lived under socialism, but at least I know enough about the socialism and communism experiment to say it hasn't worked everywhere else it was tried. Why would it work here in New York? If people voted because MAMDANI says we're going to take from the rich and give to you, so MAMDANI is Robin Hood now. He's Robin Hood, and people want Robin Hood. But Robin Hood was essentially a myth. And you can't build a country or a city based on Robin Hood policies. You can't take from the rich to give to the poor. The rich didn't steal the wealth. They figured out a way to be successful and make money. Most of us could do well to learn from them. There are things that wealthy people do that I don't like. Treating people like cattle, I don't like that. Demeaning people, not paying people fairly, I don't like that. So there has to be some, and that's where the government steps in to make sure that regular people are treated fairly. But when we begin to look into how these things are carried out, that's where the concern is. I'll build a bit more color around the subject. Crossroads, imagine you go to a picnic with 10 people. One guy takes all the food. You and another 9 sit there hungry and watch him eat all the food. Wouldn't you feel something is wrong? Okay. When you put it that way, everyone has a right to feel upset if that one person takes all the food. But that's an oversimplification of economics or of business. One person started out in some cases, not all cases, at the same level as everyone else at the table. Hold on, let me put up the question because I'm having new people join the live stream and they need to know, okay, what we're talking about. We've just gone through the win by MAMDANI. We're discussing the aftermath and the possible outcome of this decision by New York. Now, I have my concerns. I'm discussing with the chat. So if you're watching, let your thoughts be known in the chat. All right. There are some videos and X posts. Okay, go ahead and follow up. In fact, Canary King, can you, if you can do a call in, because as a New Yorker, I think you have a unique perspective. If you're able to do a call in, all right, send me an email and then I'll send you. Oh, can we do a call in on this? No, we can't do a call in. I'm sorry. We can't do a call in today. Sorry about that, because a call in would have been easier. So go ahead and follow up on your thoughts. Now, if we continue to look at the reactions on X, there was a period of time where I hated X. I still have my concerns about X, but I've learned how to filter out the insanity, or at least to process it a lot better. We could look at some of the reactions on X. Some of them are way to the left. Some of them are way to the right. And when you approach life that way, it's a very unhealthy way to live. All right, so we're waiting for Canary King to follow up with his thoughts. And once he's done following up with his thoughts, we're going to read out his thoughts on this, and then I will. Okay, hold on. If you want to see, I'm gonna give the chat some more contrast. All right, I hope you can see his post a lot better now, so that you can see so you're following. All right, so now a lot of New York City is rigged by a small group of ultra wealthy to take the resources meant for all and redirecting to themselves. That's a huge accusation. The question is, can you provide facts? I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying when we say these things, we have to follow up with some facts. Okay. So when you're done, I'm going to let you put your thoughts in, and then I'm going to fact check some of my thoughts and your thoughts using Grok. I'm going to do it, and we're going to have Grok tell us whether our assumptions or the facts that we're holding on to are valid. If you're watching, please let's know your thoughts in the chat. It's very important. Okay, we're not talking about self-made entrepreneurs. We're talking about rigged systems. Yes, I know about rigged systems, and I agree that the systems in New York and other cities around the world, not just in the United States, are rigged. How can we overcome those issues? If you agree or disagree with the premises that we're putting out, please let's know in the chat. So jump into the chat, let your voice be heard. We want to have a conversation together to figure this out. All right. So if the problem that candidates like Andrew Cuomo and Curtis Sliwa had was that they appear to be creatures of a rigged system. Everyone knows these guys. In all the years that they've been around, what impact have they had? And so eventually people are willing to take a risk with someone like Zoran Mamdani. So that no matter how many people jumped up to say his policies are a problem and his allegiances are suspect, don't vote for this guy because it's a problem. No matter how much people have screamed this out, people just didn't want to pay attention. Why is that? Is it that people are just too angry and they want to give the middle finger to the powers that be? In spite of evidence that another billionaire had backed Zoran's campaign, someone called George Soros, remember him? So while we're all raging against the ultra wealthy, we have an ultra wealthy activist who has been known to back protests all over America for years, backing this guy. Shouldn't that raise eyebrows? Let me give you an imaginary picture. I'm reading the chat. Let me give you an imaginary picture. a pendulum swinging from one end to another end. In the 70s, New York City was at one extreme. Then in the 90s, it swung to the other direction with Giuliani, then continued. Yeah, I see that. By Bloomberg, who is a multi-billionaire mayor who even changed term limits to benefit himself and his billionaire buddies. Yeah. And you see, that is, issues like this are real issues because people have seen this happen for a long time, for years. And when people have had enough, they get up and they vote differently. Even when the person that they are voting, everyone is saying this guy shouldn't be voted for. They say, look, forget that. We are not listening. We're done listening to you. We're going to do what we like. We're going to do what we want. And they have. Let's see what Zoran does with this opportunity. Let's see what Zoran does with this opportunity. Now, I'm unwilling to, but let me play some of this. I don't want to play this. No. Let's just have a real conversation. So I'm going to leave this out. Like I said, the posts have been on two extremes. I don't want to go into either of those extremes. I want to stay down the middle. I want to have a real conversation. All right. I just want to have a real conversation because I know where these posts will lead. And I am so not ready to go down that road. Okay. Do I have a new post? I heard a chime. Okay. All right. So the arguments that Canary King is making are valid. Oh, and by the way, if you're watching, please like, share, subscribe, support the channel, become a member, help us out to keep the lights on. Consider donating or becoming a member. All right. So considering everything that we're discussing right now, it is not surprising that Zoran won the elections. No. It's like considering all the things that Americans went through in the Obama years. It wasn't a surprise that a Donald Trump got elected when he got elected in 2016. And then after Biden, Trump was able to get back into office because 4 years of Biden was enough to get some people who hated Trump to vote for him. So it is true that certain things happening in New York provided the right environment or the catalyst to have people vote for Zoran. Simply saying Zoran bad is, this thing here is exactly what people were doing to Donald Trump, and no one could actually articulate a solution. Zoran was talking about real pain, real solutions, while Cuomo and Sliwa were busy mudslinging and saying this person is bad, this person is bad, this person is bad. It's exactly why Kamala Harris lost the election by a landslide. She didn't talk about the things that Americans needed to hear, needed dealt with. All she talked about was Trump bad. In Zoran's case, everyone was saying, Zoran bad, he's socialist, he's bad, but mostly he's bad. Oh, look at him taking this photo with George Soros. Look at him, he did this, he did that. Oh, this scandal and that scandal, he lied. These are the exact same things that were said about Donald Trump. He lied about this. Look at that. He lied about that. And in the end, people still voted for him. Yesterday, I think I spoke about the lies that he told about his auntie, and then it wasn't his auntie anymore. It was his dad's cousin. And in the end, both lies were still lies. But he still got voted in. Why? Because those are not the things that New Yorkers appear to care about. The subway system needs, now I'm reading the chat, the subway system needs more attention, but billionaires rarely take the subway anymore, so they don't care. The rest of New York City needs the subway. The preferred mode of transport now is helicopter hopping. Wow. From building to building. Look, anyone, like, I hope, this take of mine is unpopular, even by me or with me. If the opposition were not able to present a practical, policy-based argument against Zoran Mamdani, that is why they lost. I don't like his policies. I don't like the fact that New Yorkers opted for him instead of Curtis Sliwa, but Curtis Sliwa himself had a bunch of talking points. He was from the old guard. And again, the question that I asked earlier is, how come these guys from the old guard couldn't solve the problem that New York had? They didn't, is either they couldn't solve it or they didn't want to solve it. And the same argument of billionaires taking advantage of the system and running policies or pushing policies that favor them rather than the regular guy still took first place on the polls or in the polls. And that's why he won. So the question, like, a New Yorker is in the chat saying New Yorkers wanted this. I'm waiting for someone to tell me a reason why New Yorkers should not have wanted that. And I have made up my mind to avoid X for the meantime. Because X is right now, especially my feed, and I'm going to own up to say my feed and the algorithm that feeds me will show me more people who say Mamdani bad. But I'm talking to a New Yorker, and I will respect the opinions of a New Yorker who is on the ground telling me the sentiments of the average New Yorker. When we talked about the situation with Nigeria on Sunday and on Monday, my immediate issue was the fact that these news outlets were talking to everyone else but the Nigerians. So I'm not going to make the same mistake that that the news outlets I was calling out made. I'm going to talk to a New Yorker. All right, so Canary King continues, Bloomberg was there for so long and he rigged the system. 2 terms under Giuliani and 3 terms of Bloomberg equals 5 terms. So there's a lot of unfair rigged variables in the system. Everyone is calling out the rigged variables. In spite of all that has been said, everyone screaming out and saying that Mamdani is bad for New York. New Yorkers have made a choice. Okay, New Yorkers have made a choice. And the one New Yorker in the chat is simply saying, look, we don't care what everyone else says. We don't care what you say. We pick the guy we believe will break the system and reset the system. And so what I would say is time is our friend. We're going to watch what happens in New York. And we're going to try to give this a fair look. All right, I'm going to do my best to give it a fair look. There will be politicking coming from the Trump administration. I'm going to say it in advance because it's going to happen. The Trump administration is going to do its level best to not cooperate 100% with New York. Yeah, so Canary King pointing out, by the way, I'm not happy about the communist stores and so on, but it gives an opportunity for the pendulum to swing in favor of the middle class. It's also good that it prevents angry mobs. I hope you're right. I hope you're right. That's all I can say about that. I hope you're right. Because when you consider where this experiment has been tried before, it's very easy to see that it doesn't work. So, if it does work out this time, very good. But when you point a finger at the rich to say, hey, rich guys, we're coming for you and we're going to tax you to, to fund all these things, it sends a signal, and rich people aren't stupid. They're not going to just lay down and let you gut them. They're going to figure out how to protect themselves. All right. And for people who have the sentiment that this experiment is going to swing, I'm speaking to not directly to Canary King, but I've seen some other posts that have said, look, let New York try it and see how it works out, and then they will make a decision and so on. My take on that is, if New York goes ahead and tries it and it doesn't work, there are going to be 10,000 reasons why it didn't work, or why someone somewhere made sure it didn't work, and that someone somewhere is going to be named Trump. And so no matter how much evidence there is that this thing doesn't work, in the next couple of years, the reason why it didn't work will be Donald Trump, or it's going to be the billionaires. There's always going to be someone responsible for why this beautiful socialist experiment didn't work. And we're all going to be here to watch it. Back to the chat. If the commie stores don't work, no one will be mad at the ultra rich. No one will feel the need to blame the ultra rich. No. There's going to be reasons. Reasons are going to be made up to blame the ultra rich. They're going to say the ultra rich made sure it didn't work. Stories are going to be covered in the news why the ultra rich were responsible for this thing not working. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. There's going to be reasons why we didn't run the communist stores communist enough. They're not going to call them communist stores, by the way. The government run stores. We didn't government them hard enough because there's this policy or that policy. There's this person, this special interest or that special interest that caused it to fail. There's always going to be something that caused it to fail. Believe that. Where time is our friend, we're all going to be here for it. We're all going to be here for it. We're all going to watch it. And it's not going to be a I told you so thing. It's simply that the experiment, again, didn't work, just like it hasn't worked for a long time. It's really that simple. All right. Government shutdown is officially, this current government shutdown is officially the longest government shutdown in history, by the way. All right, so let's try something. I'm going to jump into some fact checking. Pardon me. All right, so it's a pendulum swing I've seen my whole life, from one extreme to the other in cycles. All right, so let me ask Grok. Grok, has there ever been a socialist mayor running New York City?
Yeah, actually, Zoran MAMDANI just got elected as New York City's first socialist mayor.
Apart from him.
Nah, no socialists ever actually won the mayor's race here before Zoran. Closest was Morris Hillquit in 1917. He pulled 30%, but lost to John Hyland. Socialists have snagged assembly seats and stuff, but not the big chair.
All right, so like, it's never been done in history. We're going to see how that works out. We're all going to see how that works out. And then we will be able to have one more example that says this doesn't work. When Giuliani and Bloomberg, sorry, I'm trying to understand the most recent chat from you, Canarican. When Giuliani and Bloomberg swing to the other extreme, we New Yorkers were happy. Okay. Yeah. And that's the thing. My issue is this. Now that the socialists have gotten in. Okay, so if you want me to put in another prompt, let me know the prompt you want me to put up here, and then I will put it up there. Unless I corrected, and then he began to give me the Zoran MAMDANI thing. You know, I might have to call some of the segments the self-own segments, where I self-own. I try to fact check, and I fact check on myself accidentally. But it's a good thing. It's good to be honest, even when you're proven wrong. It's good to be honest, and everyone sees that you're doing your very best to find the truth. All right, so we are winding down. This has been a very one single topic live stream, because it's more like, let's get Zoran MAMDANI out of our system. Let's just get him out of our system so we can move on to other things. I believe that this is things in the news cycle are going to pick up in the next couple of days. The Democrat Party, the leadership of the Democrat Party has reached out saying that they are now willing to negotiate the shutdown. There were people who said that this was the plan, that they wanted the mayoral elections in New York to end, possibly with a Democrat return, which of course a Democrat has always been returned as mayor in New York over the last couple of decades. And that only after that would they come to the table to negotiate. And that has played out. There's a letter from the Democrat Party saying that they want a meeting with Donald Trump to negotiate the shutdown. So let's see how that works out. SNAP benefits will be ending by the end of the week, I think. And then there was the entire hullabaloo about the party that President Trump held. And people are calling it tone deaf. That people are about to lose their SNAP benefits and he's throwing a party. To be honest, I don't have any thoughts about that yet. I don't know the details of the party. I don't know if it was a party that had been planned previously. But Is it a good look? No, it's not a good look. Okay, Giuliani wasn't a Democrat, neither was Bloomberg. Okay, so thank you for correcting me. Because both of them, I don't know, New York is a strange place. Even the Republicans don't behave like Republicans, in my opinion. All right. Socialist isn't the right term. It's liberal versus conservative. Yeah, you know, MAMDANI is posing as a democratic socialist, but socialist is socialist. Even if you try to couch it as a democratic socialist or a Republican socialist, socialist is socialist. By the way, the commie stores will likely not work. It has never worked. It has never worked. Now, while we're claiming it has never worked, okay, I hope I get my prompt right this time around. Have government-run stores ever worked in any Western country?
Kinda depends on what you mean by worked, but yeah, there have been a few tries in the West. In the UK, the Cooperative Wholesale Society was basically government-backed co-op stores in the early 20th century, super successful, fed millions during tough times. And in the US, those wartime ration stores in the 40s kept folks fed without major meltdowns. But modern stuff, like city-run groceries popping up now, they're flopping hard with empty shelves and sky-high prices. Bureaucracy kills the vibe.
So the only stores that worked, essentially, that were socialists were wartime stores. That's what I'm getting from this query. Isn't that in the extreme liberal? Isn't that an extreme? I don't understand that comment. Search New York liberal versus conservative. I'm trying to understand. Search New York liberal versus conservative. I don't understand what that context is, so I can't frame it properly. All right, so let me know what you mean. Right, so the delays in the chat tends to kind of give a kind of pause for me to catch up on what's being discussed. I don't want to steamroll the chat. I'm having a conversation here. I'm fact-checking in real time with Grok, and I'm trying to see whether some of the facts that we've been discussing so far have facts backing them. We agree that New York has decided to go forward with MAMDANI. That's a foregone conclusion. We agree that the rich has had an overextended advantage over the poor all over the world, not just in New York. It's agreed. The question is the overcorrection by electing a socialist to run the country's financial capital a good idea? Okay, so it's liberal versus conservative. Okay, fine. All right, so let's see. Well, I've taken that correction, and to be honest, if you put it that way, the answer will be yes, because Democrats tend to be liberal. All right, so, okay, so New York, the pendulum swings between liberal to conservative and vice versa. Okay. Isn't who a Democrat? Who are you referring to? Isn't he a Democrat? I'm not sure who you're referring to. I'm not sure who you're referring to, so I can't say. All right, so we're on the 1 hour mark. We've been discussing one topic. We've mentioned a few others. This is kind of a low energy, we're talking about politics. We're talking about Zoran Mamdani, New York City, who cares? New Yorkers care. The rest of the United States appears to care. And I want to just get this out of our system and move on. But I doubt if this story is going to disappear. We're going to continue to have people point out that a socialist is running New York. And we're going to continue to have this clash of ideas for the next couple of years. And it's fine. It's fine. To be honest, okay, so Trump essentially has basically, he made a comment this morning about the shutdown. I'll just play it and then we'll just talk about it for a bit, because what the Democrats have insisted on for the shutdown, we've talked about it so many times. It's old news, but let's just talk about it yet again just to cover our bases. Okay, in the chat, New York isn't interesting to anyone outside New York. Well, it's interesting to me. And that's the thing that people don't understand about patterns. When you have New York City going a certain way, there are two states in the country that concern me. New York on the East Coast and California on the West Coast. Those two states concern me because they tend to direct the temperature of the United States. Whether anyone likes it or not, it is the truth. So when Gavin Newsom farts, everyone else smells it. Okay? So we tend to pay attention to what happens in California and in New York. So it's wrong for anyone to simply discount who's in the governor's mansion or who's the mayor of the largest cities in those states. It's wrong to discount that and to think that it's not important. All right, so let's listen to Trump make his statements about the shutdown very briefly.
We can't be extorted to give $1.5 trillion to people that came into the country illegally, many from prisons, many drug dealers. A lot of people came in from mental institutions. They want to give a lot of money to the people that came in illegally. We have to get them out. No country can sustain that. That's not like an attack on our country. In no country, these are not going to be productive people. These are going to be anti-productive people. And we can all have big hearts. I have a bigger heart than anybody, but we can't let that happen.
All right, so his statement clearly, again, he's not willing to negotiate the $1 trillion request, $1 trillion request that the Democrats have made. So that is non-negotiable. Marjorie Taylor
Where my
Greene,
frustrations are, it's not at the...
Excuse me. She's been very vocal about the shutdown, and a lot of people on the MAGA side have misinterpreted her, according to her, have misinterpreted her passion to mean that she has turned on MAGA or she has turned against President Trump. So she releases this video to make her voice heard about the shutdowns and to clarify a few things.
I serve in Congress, and that's where my frustrations are. It's not at the president at all. My frustrations are in Congress because we're the legislative branch. We should be passing bills. We should be passing the agenda that the American people voted for, and we're not. We're literally shut down. I'm angry at the speaker. I think the House should be in session. We should be doing our job. And over in the Senate, Democrats can reopen the government, but Republicans can do it too. And I called to end the filibuster and use the nuclear option a month ago.
All right. So, for people who don't understand the filibuster, I'm speaking to Americans, and I'm sure that most Americans should understand what the filibuster is. So, I, in a sense, understood what it means to the process, to the processes in Congress, but I decided to do a crash course on the filibuster. And basically, it is a way to kind of delay votes and to stall certain policies being voted in, especially when it is being done by a party that is in the minority in the House and Senate. So it is something that is meant to serve as a balance of power, but it's being abused. Now, I've heard people say that they want to end the filibuster. President Trump, in his interview with 60 Minutes, said that he would want to end the filibuster, that the Democrats would end it once they get power, that they will do it. But a lot of people are saying that it will affect the democratic process severely. So, what do you think about that idea? Because the shutdown simply happened because the filibuster is in place. You need 60 votes to pass legislation. You need 60 votes to pass bills. You need 60 votes to reopen the government. So you have this tool that is meant to allow for a balance of power being abused by the minority. The Republicans did it under President Obama. Now the Democrats are doing it under President Trump, and they've done it twice under President Trump. So what do you think? Should the filibuster be ended? Should that be taken out? Here's my opinion. I don't want it to be taken out. It is a democratic tool that is meant to help minority governments. Else, people or the parties in minority, or the party in the minority, will be steamrolled by the party that is in the majority. The Republican Party isn't always going to be in power. So what if they end the filibuster this time? And then when the Democrats are the majority in office, they don't have a tool to defend themselves. So even though President Trump is pushing for it, in my opinion, guys, this is just my opinion, I think it's a bad idea to tamper with the filibuster, even though it's being abused. Maybe some things can be adjusted on how it is applied, but there should be a way to navigate this situation without taking away this tool, because one day the Republicans are going to need the filibuster, and they would have been the ones to have done away with it. All right. So what do you think? Let me know in the comment section. Let me know in the chat. Today's live stream has been interesting. I usually enjoyed our ability to show your comments on the screen and to have everyone engage. It's a bit odd not to be able to do that anymore, but we're going to work on resurrecting that feature very soon. All right, thanks for hanging around. We're at the end of the live stream. We went over by about 8 minutes because we wanted to cover the stories about the government shutdown and hear from President Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene to figure out whether the shutdown negotiations will be going forward. President Trump has been very clear. He's not going to negotiate on the $1 trillion request the Democrats are making. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is very clear on the fact that she would like the filibuster to be ended. I've given you my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section and in the chat. Thanks for hanging out. I do appreciate you coming in and being a part of the live stream. Tomorrow we're going to be back same time tomorrow, and we're going to be talking about the news that's developing, and I'm going to be posting more about it in the community section of the channels. Thanks for hanging out, and until tomorrow, God bless you.